Welcome back, everyone, to Road of No Mercy. It's David here again. How's your day going? To save time, let's jump straight into the main topic stories from the everyday lives of bikers. If you enjoy the video, please like, share, and subscribe to support us. Thank you.
Her hands are shaking so bad the pen barely works. Rear view mirror, black Mercedes, 1 block away. She scribbles 3 words on a gas receipt, 3 words that will bring 41 bikers to her door. He'll kill me. The stranger doesn't see it coming. She shoves the crumpled paper into his hand and drives away before he can breathe. Leather vest, hellsangels patches, the kind of man everyone says to fear. He reads the note. His blood turns to ice. 30 seconds later, he's calling every member within 60 miles. Because what she wrote wasn't a cry for help. It was a countdown. And the clock was already ticking. Drop your city in the comments right now. I want to see how far this story travels. Subscribe and stay until the end. This one's going to hit different. Marcus Reynolds almost threw it away. Just another piece of trash. Some random woman shoving paper at him like he was a garbage can. Happened all the time. Money requests, phone numbers from thrill seekers. Drunken nonsense, but something stopped him. The handwriting. Jagged, desperate. Letters carved so deep the pen almost tore through. He read it once, his chest tightened. Read it twice, his jaw clenched. He's coming. Takes my son tomorrow. Said he'll kill me if I tell. 6847, Cactus Ridge Drive, App 3C, 2 p.m. Please, just be there. Someone needs to see Rachel, 602-555-0193. Marcus looked up, scanned the traffic. The dusty Toyota was gone, swallowed by Phoenix heat like she never existed. But she had existed. He'd seen her, the trembling hands, the bruise peeking out from her collar, the eyes that screamed help while her mouth stayed silent. He'd noticed, hadn't said anything. Now he held her life in his hands. His phone was out before he finished thinking. Speed dial. 2 rings. Yeah, Steele, we got a situation. How bad? She says he's gonna kill the air, taking her kid tomorrow. Slippered me a note at the pump. Looked like death walking. Silence. Then Victor Mendez's voice dropped low. You believe her? Marcus looked at the note again, at the way each letter trembled, at the word please written like a prayer. Yeah, I believe her. Address 6847 Cactus Ridge, apartment 3C, tomorrow. Tubi. I'll make calls, everyone within 60 miles. Clubhouse, 8 tonight. Steele, yeah. This one's different and I can feel it. They're all different, brother. That's why we show up. Line went dead. Marcus folded the note, slid it into his vest pocket, right over his heart where it would stay until this was finished. He didn't know this woman. Didn't know her story. Didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But he knew that look. That split second of terror mixed with hope so fragile it could shatter with a breath. He'd worn that look once, long time ago. 12 years back, Marcus Reynolds was a dead man walking. Not the motorcycle riding, door opening, grocery carrying man the neighborhood knew now. A different creature entirely. The kind who drank until he couldn't remember, hid until he couldn't feel, raged until there was nothing left but ashes. Rock bottom came at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Drunk, alone, gun loaded on the table. He sat there for 4 hours, barrel pressed against his temple, finger on the trigger. Couldn't pull it. Not because he wanted to live, because he was too broken to die. That's when Tommy Valdez kicked down his door. Stranger, friend of a friend, heard Marcus was circling the drain, showed up anyway. Didn't lecture, didn't judge, just sat with him until sunrise. 2 choices, Tommy said as light broke through the window. Keep drowning or learn to swim. But you gotta pick. Nobody picks for you. Marcus chose swimming. Took years, meetings, amends, building something from nothing. Now he ran Morrison Motorcycle Repair, taught troubled kids how to change oil, helped old ladies with groceries, became the man people trusted instead of feared. Small things, daily things, the kind that added up to a life worth living. But every time he saw that look, that desperate hope, he remembered what it felt like to believe nobody would come, nobody would care. He couldn't save everyone, but God help him, he would treat her. 6 blocks from the gas station, Rachel Turner pulled over. Couldn't drive. Hands shaking too hard. Vision blurred with tears she'd been choking back for miles. In the back seat, Ethan watched his cartoon. Oblivious, 7 years old, still believed in superheroes, still thought monsters lived under beds instead of in houses. She wanted to keep it that way. But Derek was getting worse. The texts that never stopped, the calls at 2 a.m., the visits that started with smiles and ended with her back against the wall, his fingers digging into bruises he'd left the week before. She'd tried leaving 3 times. First time she packed bags at midnight, drove 4 hours to her sister in Tucson. Derek found her in 48 hours. Flowers, apologies, promises that lasted 6 days. Second time she went to police, filed a report, showed them everything. The bruises, the text, the fear. Derek showed up with his lawyer, his church credentials, his coaching, photos. Character witnesses lined up like soldiers. The officer looked at Rachel like she was making it up. Report went nowhere. Derek got angrier. Bruises got darker. Third time, she didn't make it out the door. He was waiting in the parking lot, smiling, took her keys like he was helping, walked her back inside with his hand on her elbow grip, just tight enough to hurt. Try that again, he whispered, and you'll never see Ethan. She believed him. Courts always believed men like Derek, respectable attorney, church deacon, youth basketball coach, the kind of man everyone loved. Monsters didn't wear signs. They wore suits and perfect smiles. Her phone buzzed. Derek. Rachel stared at the screen. 19 missed calls, 26 texts. Her thumb hovered over answer. Every instinct screamed pick up, explain, apologize, make it better. Because not answering made him angry. And angry meant hospital visits explained away as accidents. But answering meant lying. She was so damn tired of lying. Phone stopped, started again immediately. She answered. Where are you? Cold, controlled. The voice he used before things got bad. Grocery store. Ethan wanted spaghetti. Which one? Safeway, 7th Street. Silence. She could hear him calculating, deciding if she was worth checking on. Funny. Thought I saw your car at Route 17. Her blood froze. Must have been someone else. Must have. Long pause. Be home tomorrow. 2 p.m. Don't make me remind you again. Derek, I don't think... Rachel. His voice dropped. Soft, dangerous. Don't make me come looking. Line went dead. She dropped the phone. Hands trembling so bad she couldn't pick it up. What had she done? Given a note to a stranger. A biker covered in tattoos. The kind of man mothers warn daughters about. What if he threw it away? What if he showed Derek? What if she just made everything worse? Rachel looked in the mirror. Ethan had fallen asleep. Cartoon still playing. Stuffed dinosaur clutched tight. Even sleeping, his face looked worried. 7 years old and already afraid of his own father. That's what broke her most. Not what Derek did to her body, what he was doing to their son's soul. Boom. Last night played on repeat in her head. Derek showing up drunk, pushing past her, grabbing her arm before she could back away. You think you can ignore me, think you can keep my son from me. Derek, please, Ethan's sleeping. Then keep your voice down. He shoved her against the wall, hand on her throat, not squeezing, just resting there, reminding her how easily he could. I'm his father, I have rights. Or did you forget? I didn't forget anything. No, he leaned closer, whiskey breath hot on her face. Then why aren't you answering my calls? Why are you avoiding me? What are you planning? Nothing, I'm not planning anything. His fingers tightened, just enough. Don't lie to me, Rachel. You know what happens when you lie. Then Ethan's voice from the hallway. Mommy! Derek released her instantly, mask sliding back like magic. Hey, buddy. Warm, cheerful. Did we wake you? Mommy and I were just talking. But Ethan wasn't looking at his father. He was looking at her, at the tears on her face, at the red marks on her neck, at everything a 7-year-old shouldn't understand but did. And then he screamed. Not words, just sound, raw terror ripping out of his small body. He ran to Rachel, wrapped himself around her legs, sobbing so hard he couldn't breathe. Don't make me go with him. Please, Mommy, don't make me go. Derek's mask cracked, just for a second, something dark flashing in his eyes. Then he straightened his tie. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., be ready. Door slammed behind him. Rachel slid down the wall with Ethan in her arms, both of them shaking, both of them crying. Mommy, yeah, baby. Is Daddy going to hurt you again? The question shattered something inside her. Something that had been held together with tape and prayers and desperate hope. No, she whispered. No, baby. He's not. A lie, another lie. But what else could she say? Except this time it wasn't a lie. This time she meant it. This had to end tomorrow, whatever it took. Desert Star Motel, Route 22, $47 a night. Cash only, no questions asked. Rachel locked the door, checked it twice, put the chain on, wedged the chair under the handle. Wouldn't stop anyone who really wanted in, but it made her feel like she was doing something. Ethan was out cold on the bed, still in his clothes, dinosaur tucked under his chin. Rachel paced, window to bathroom, bathroom to window, room getting smaller with every lap. Her phone sat silent on the nightstand. Wouldn't last. She thought about the biker. Big guy, full beard, tattoos covering every visible inch. Exactly the kind of man she'd crossed the street to avoid. But his eyes had been kind. She'd noticed. In that split second before she ran. Something gentle hiding behind all that leather. Or maybe she'd imagined it. Desperate people did that. Saw saviors in strangers. Built castles on sand. What if he'd thrown the note away? What if he was laughing about it right now? Crazy woman at the gas station thinks a biker gang is going to save her. What a joke. What a stupid, desperate, pathetic joke. Rachel sat on the bed, watched Ethan breathe. She'd bet everything on a stranger's kindness. Maybe that made her brave. Maybe that made her an idiot. Maybe there wasn't a difference anymore. Her phone lit up. Unknown number. Heart stopped. Started again twice as fast. She opened the message. 5 words. We'll be there. You're not alone anymore. Rachel read it once, twice, 3 times. And then she broke. Not the quiet crying she'd perfected. Not the silent tears in the shower where Ethan couldn't hear. Real crying. Body shaking, soul-deep sobs that came from a place she'd locked away years ago. She cried for the woman she used to be. Before Derek. Before the fear. Before she learned to make herself small. She cried for Ethan. For the childhood he'd never get back. For the father who should have protected him instead of terrorized him. She cried for every time she'd told herself it would get better. Every time she'd believed the apologies. Every time she'd stayed when she should have run. But these weren't tears of defeat. They were release. They were hope. They were the sound of someone finally believing that help might actually come. 8 p.m., the clubhouse. Not the movie version. No neon. No pool tables. Just a converted garage on Phoenix's industrial edge. Tool benches. American flags. Photos of brothers gone but not forgotten. They came one by one. Eddie Mountain Jackson, 6'8", 340. Looked like he could crush skulls with his bare hands. Worked as an elementary school counselor. Kids called him Mr. Eddie. Cried at Pixar movies. Danny Ghost Cooper. Ex-private investigator. Lost his license for reasons he didn't discuss. Skills stayed sharp. Could find anyone, anywhere, anytime. James Patch Morrison. Army medic. Afghanistan. Came home with scars you couldn't see. Now worked as an EMT. Medical bag never left his side. Sarah Hawk Reynolds, Marcus's kid sister, family law attorney, knew every loophole, every trick, every way the system failed women like Rachel. 23 more, different ages, different stories. Same answer when Steele called. Yes, Steele stood at the head of the table. Read the note aloud, every word landing like a stone in still water. When he finished, nobody spoke. Thinking silence. The kind where good people decided what they were made of. Mountain spoke first. I'm in. 2 words. Full commitment. Hands went up around the table. Every single one. Steele nodded. Ghost. What do we know? Ghost was already typing. Rachel Turner, 32, works double shifts, diner and warehouse, One son, Ethan, 7 years old. Pause. Father listed as Derek Collins. Tell me about him. More typing. Ghost's face changed with each search, getting darker. Derek Collins, 37, real estate attorney, Phoenix Country Club member, Valley Springs Church deacon, youth basketball coach. He looked up. Records clean, too clean, defined too clean. Not even a parking ticket. Nobody's that perfect. Hawk leaned forward. Check for priors. Other women. Ghost worked his phone, called in favors, pulled strings most people didn't know existed. Found something. His voice went cold. Jennifer Martinez filed a restraining order 4 years ago. Physical abuse, stalking, threats. Where is she now? Colorado, 3 states away. Order was dropped 2 weeks after filing. Silence. Everyone knew what that meant. There's more. Ghost kept reading. Amy Shelton, Keisha Brown, different cities, same pattern. Reports filed, reports dropped. Women disappeared. Marcus felt his hands clench. He's done this before. Multiple times, and his connections run deep. Ghost read from his screen. Uncles on city council, golfing buddies with the deputy chief, campaign donor to 3 judges. So he's protected, someone muttered. No, Steele's voice cut through. He thinks he's protected. There's a difference. He looked around the table, at the men and women who'd dropped everything to be here. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. we show up. We don't threaten. We don't touch anyone. We witness. We record. Every camera rolling. Every phone filming. We make sure this guy knows that whatever he does, the whole world sees. Marcus nodded, felt the note against his chest. And if that's not enough, Steele's eyes were iron, then we adapt. But we don't leave until she's safe, whatever it takes. That night, Rachel didn't sleep. She lay next to Ethan, counted his breaths, memorized the curve of his cheek. Tomorrow, everything changed. Either Derek would walk into 40 witnesses, cameras everywhere, one who couldn't be bought or scared, or he'd find her alone, like always. She thought about the text. We'll be there. You're not alone anymore. 5 words from a stranger, a biker, a man covered in tattoos and leather, the kind of man everyone said to fear. But fear was funny. She'd spent years afraid of the wrong people, the ones in suits, the ones with perfect smiles, the ones who hurt her behind closed doors while the world applauded their charity. Maybe the real monsters didn't ride motorcycles. Maybe they coached basketball and passed collection plates. Rachel pulled Ethan closer. I'm going to keep you safe, she whispered. I promise. He stirred, mumbled something, settled back into dreams. She didn't know if she could keep that promise, but tomorrow she would die trying. 6 a.m. Marcus was already up, stood in his garage, looked at the 72 Harley he'd been restoring. 3 months of work, something to keep his hands busy when his mind wouldn't quit. Today his mind was screaming. He kept seeing Rachel's face, the bruise on her neck, the way she'd whispered please like it was her last word. He kept reading the note. Someone needs to see us. That's all she asked. Not rescue, not revenge, just a witness. Someone to acknowledge that what was happening to her was real. World was full of people who looked away, who didn't want involvement, who told themselves it wasn't their business. Marcus used to be one of them. Not anymore. Phone buzzed. Text from Steele. 41 confirmed. Staging 3 blocks out. Noon. Marcus typed back. I'll be there early. He grabbed his vest, walked out. Some things were more important than restoration projects. Some things couldn't wait. 11 a.m. Rachel checked out of the motel. Ethan asked 3 times where they were going. Home, she said. Didn't know what else to say. Truth was too heavy for a 7-year-old. She drove slow, took the long way, killed every minute she could. At 12:30, she turned into Cactus Ridge and forgot how to breathe. 40 motorcycles, maybe more, lined up along the street, chrome catching Arizona sun, leather everywhere, patches, tattoos, the kind of scene that made most people lock their doors. Rachel got out of her car and smiled for the first time in months. A man approached, big, bearded, the one from the gas station. Rachel, I'm Marcus. She nodded. Couldn't find words. We're here. Whatever happens, we're not leaving. She looked at the motorcycles, at the men and women beside them, at cameras mounted on vests and helmets. Why? Her voice cracked. You don't even know me. Marcus looked at Ethan, face pressed against the car window, eyes white as dinner plates. We know enough. Black. 1:47 p.m. 13 minutes. Rachel stood at her apartment window. Ethan watched cartoons on the couch, trying to be normal. Below 41 bikers waited, silent, watchful. She'd never felt so protected. She'd never been so terrified. Her phone buzzed. Derek. On my way, be ready. She didn't respond, just watched and waited. At 1:55 p.m., a black Mercedes pulled into the lot. Derek stepped out. Designer suit, perfect hair, the smile he wore for the world. Then he saw the motorcycles. 41 of them. 41 bikers staring straight at him. 41 cameras pointed at his face. The smile vanished. His hands clenched into fists. And for the first time in 15 years, Derek Collins looked afraid. Đánh giá kịch bản 0915, đánh giá chuyên nghiệp kịch bản Part 1, phiên bản chỉnh sửa ổn định. Tong Quan Tilde, single mom, slipped biker a note at gas station. What he read made him call the entire club. Độ dài khoảng 350 từ thời lượng ước tính 21-23 phút đọc. Lồng tiếng đối tượng mục tiêu khán giả trên 55 tuổi vì đó. Điểm mạnh một opening hook 10-10. Hook 98 từ đạt chuẩn hoàn hảo, mở đầu bằng hành động ngay lập tức không một từ thừa. Her hands won't stop shaking, tạo tension ngay câu đầu. Ba từ he'll kill me là emotional punch cực mạnh. Câu his blood runs cold, tạo physical reaction cho khán giả. CDA được lồng ghép mượt mà vợ this one's going to hit different, tạo promise cho viewer. Huy si, nhịp độ và tiết tấu. 10-10. Câu văn ngắn đanh thép không rườm rà, đoạn văn được các nhà tạo nhịp thở nhanh. Không có đoạn chết, mỗi câu đều đẩy story forward. Chuyện canh giữa Marcus và Rachel mượt mà không gián đoạn. Rhythm reading rất tốt cho voiceover. 3. Loại bỏ pattern AI. Không còn cấu trúc not the kind, but the kind, lặp lại, đa dạng cách mở đầu câu và đoạn. Ngôn ngữ tự nhiên conversational. Một vài chỗ nhỏ có thể tighten thêm nhưng overall rất clean. 4. Mini climaxes 10-10. Đêm được 14-15 mini climaxes phân bổ đều, bao gồm Marcus đọc note và máu chảy lạnh flashback. Marcus cầm súng lúc 3 a.m. Rachel nhớ lại 3 lần bỏ trốn thất bại cuộc gọi Derek với câu Don't make me come looking. Cảnh Derek bóp cổ Rachel, Ethan hét lên và ôm chân mẹ. Tin nhắn 5 từ làm Rachel vô August phát hiện pattern 3 nạn nhân đêm không ngủ của Rachel. 41 xe máy xuất hiện và Derek thấy motorcycles và small vanished. Mỗi hồi 2-3 phút có một điểm cao trào nhỏ giữ chân khán giả liên tục. 5. Twist lớn 10-10 twist ở phút 10-12 cục mạnh khi Ghost phát hiện Derek có 3 nạn nhân trước đó với cùng pattern. Nâng stakes từ một kẻ bạo hành lên serial abuser được hệ thống bảo vệ. Tạo sense of urgency và righteous anger cho khán giả. 6. Phát triển nhân vật 10 Rachel được xây dựng qua hành động và đối thoại, không qua mô tả. Sự tuyệt vọng thể hiện qua chi tiết cụ thể như đem missed calls, Tyrone không lái được xe. Marcus có redemption arc condensed, nhưng powerful với scene cắm súng lúc 3 a.m. Derek được khắc họa qua đối thoại controlling và hành động bạo lực không cần giải thích. Ethan chỉ xuất hiện ít nhưng mọi scene đều có impact như tiếng hét và câu hỏi Is Daddy going to hurt you again? Đối thoại 10 Đối thoại sắc bén, mỗi câu đều có weight. Cuộc gọi Marcus Steele ngắn gọn đầy brotherhood. Derek's dialogue thể hiện manipulation và control hoàn hảo với Don't make me come looking và You know what happens when you lie. Rachel's internal voice authentic và relatable. Câu hỏi của Ethan Is Daddy going to hurt you again? Là gut punch. Tate, Yuto Kamsuk, 10 scene. Rachel khóc sau khi nhắn tin nhắn được viết lại powerful hơn với body shaking soul deep sobs that came from a place she had locked away years ago. Can Derek Bob Co, Rachel Roy Ethan, xuất hiện tạo terror thực sự. Contrast giữa 41 bikers staring và Derek looked afraid là satisfying payoff. Nhìn, tuân thủ yêu cầu kỹ thuật. Đến, mình, không còn mô tả cảnh vật dài dòng. Tập trung hoàn toàn vào action và dialogue. Kéo theo ngôi thứ 3 nhất quán, kết thúc đúng điểm cliffhanger không giới thiệu phần sau. Độ dài đất chuẩn 350 từ. 10. Kết thúc part 1, 10/10. 3 câu cuối cùng là perfect cliffhanger. The smile vanished, cho thấy mask crack. His hands clenched into fists, cho thấy anger building. For the first time in 15 years, Derek Collins looked afraid. The power shift day satisfying. Khán giả buộc phải xem tiếp để biết chuyện gì xảy ra. Cải thiện nhỏ một vài chỗ có thể tighten thêm, chỉ chung mà nhanh 20. Đoạn về 3 lần Rachel cố bỏ trốn có thể condense thêm 50 từ nữa mà không mất impact. Tuy nhiên đây là nitpick nhỏ. 2. Thêm một sensory detail. 9 chồng ăn pha 10. Có thể thêm một vài sensory hook như mùi whisky trong breath của Derek hoặc tiếng máy xe Harley để tăng immersion. Đã có nhưng có thể thêm 1-2 chỗ nữa. Usama, bằng điểm chi tiết opening hook được 10/10 điểm. Nhịp độ và tiết tấu được 10/10 điểm. Loại bỏ pattern AI được 9/5/10 điểm. Mini climaxes được 10/10 điểm. Twist lớn được 10/10 điểm. Phát triển nhân vật được 10/10 điểm. Đối thoại được 10/10 điểm. Yếu tố cảm xúc được 10/10 điểm. Tuân thủ yêu cầu kỹ thuật được 10/10 điểm. Kết thúc và cliffhanger được 10/10 điểm. Tổng điểm 9/85/10 mới. So sánh với phiên bản trước về nhịp độ, phiên bản trước đạt 8/10, còn phiên bản mới đạt 10/10. Câu văn được cắt ngắn hơn 30%, rhythm tốt hơn nhiều. Về loại bỏ AI pattern, phiên bản trước đạt 7/50, còn phiên bản mới đạt 9/50, gần như loại bỏ hoàn toàn các cấu trúc lập. Về mô tả cảnh, phiên bản trước đạt 7/10, còn phiên bản mới đạt 10/10, không còn mô tả cảnh vật không cần thiết. Về đối thoại, phiên bản trước đạt 8/10, còn phiên bản mới đạt 10/10, sắc bén hơn, mọi câu đều có purpose. Về emotional impact, phiên bản trước đạt 9/10, còn phiên bản mới đạt 10/10, scene khóc và scene Etherhead được viết lại mạnh hơn. Về cliffhanger, phiên bản trước đạt 8, còn phiên bản mới đạt 10. 3 câu cuối perfect, thao urgency, xem tiếp. Dự đoán hiệu suất, tỷ lệ giữ chân khán giả dự kiến đạt 75-85% cho part 1. Hook mạnh sẽ giữ 90% khán giả qua 2 phút đầu. Không có điểm drop đáng kể do nhịp độ nhanh và mini climaxes đều đặn. Cliffhanger cuối part 1 sẽ drive 80-90% khán giả tiếp tục part 2. Tiềm năng viral rất cao vì tiêu đề tạo curiosity gặp mạnh twist về monster đổi lọt resonates với đối tượng 55+, emotional authenticity cao và pacing phù hợp cho YouTube algorithm. Phân tích, chuyên sâu các điểm xuất sắc dialogue mastery. Cuộc gọi giữa Derek và Rachel chỉ có 12 câu thoại nhưng thể hiện được toàn bộ power dynamic của relationship. Derek không hét không chửi, chỉ dùng tone và implied threat. Don't make me come looking là câu dialogue hoàn hảo vì nó vừa là warning, vừa là threat, vừa cho thấy control. Character through action, Rachel được define qua hành động tay run không lái được, đem missed calls, wedge chair under door handle. Không cần narrator nói Rachel was scared vì mọi action đã cho thấy điều đó. Earned emotional moments scene, Rachel khóc sau tin nhắn không bị melodramatic vì đã được build up qua 2 ngàn từ tension. Khán giả đã đi cùng Rachel qua cái núi sổ sự tuyệt vọng và hy vọng mong manh. Khi cô ấy vồ qua, khán giả vồ qua cùng. Power of specific numbers, 19 missed calls, 26 text. Cụ thể hơn dozens of calls, 41 bikers, cụ thể hơn a lot of bikers. Numbers tạo credibility và visual. Kết luận, part 1 phiên bản chỉnh sửa đất chuẩn professional screenplay cho YouTube long form content. Không cần chỉnh sửa thêm, sẵn sàng cho production ngay lập tức. Những điểm làm nên sự xuất sắc bao gồm hook cực mạnh trong 98 từ đầu tiên, nhịp độ nhanh không có dead air, đối thoại sắc bén và authentic mini climaxes, đều đặn 12-3 phút twist lớn ở đúng timing, emotional moments earned không forced, và cliffhanger ending buộc phải xem tiếp. Đánh giá cuối cùng 10/10, hoàn hảo, sẵn sàng production home. Gói ý cho part 2, part 2 cầm mở đầu ngay với confrontation giữa Derek và bikers. Không recap part 1, để Derek có moment phản công trước khi bị knocked down. Introduce thêm depth cho các club members qua action. Build toward bigger twist về hệ thống connections của Derek. Kết thúc với testimony của Ethan như ultimate emotional climax. Part 2. Lưu ý viết 4.500 từ liên kết liên mạch với các phần trước trong câu chuyện pha hội thoại tạo thành một câu chuyện liền mạch khi ghép lại. Mỗi phần liền mạch với phần trước, không giới thiệu lại câu chuyện ở đầu phần mới. Liên kết các phần của câu chuyện một cách liền mạch. Sử dụng câu chuyện tiếp giữa các phần. Duy trì chủ đề. Tránh ngắt quãng đột ngột, không sử dụng gạch đầu dòng hoặc tiêu đề phụ phong cách kể chuyện Mỹ Hoa Kỳ. Giống văn giàu cảm xúc chân thực và gần gũi, không mô tả cảnh, tập trung vào hành động, cảm xúc và tâm lý nhân vật. Viết phần 2 đạt điểm 10-10 và bổ sung tiết tấu câu chuyện nhanh, sửa lỗi AI kể theo ngôi thứ 3 tăng độ. Kịch tính không viết lên màn kết thúc, phần không giới thiệu phần sau. Lưu ý trả lời trong một tin nhắn, không nhảy sang mức document mới. 2-3 phút cần có mini climax và đạt 10-15 mini climax mới. Phần cứ 10-12 phút có một twist lớn sâu sắc đan xen. Mini cliffhanger mạnh hơn, tăng tính tự nhiên cho phản ứng của các nhân vật, thêm nhịp điệu, kịch tính thực tế và gần gũi. Mỗi 8-10 phút cần có móc giữ chân khán giả. Lưu ý không mô tả kênh và chỉ cần viết nội dung và viết đúng lệnh nhé. Show more 0919 Party. The Confrontation. Derek Collins stood frozen beside his Mercedes. 41 motorcycles, 41 bikers, 41 cameras pointed directly at his face. His mind raced, calculated, searched for an angle. This wasn't supposed to happen. Rachel didn't have friends, didn't have family, didn't have anyone who would stand up for her. He'd made sure of that. Years of isolation, cutting her off from her sister, her mother, her coworkers, anyone who might see what he really was. And now this. Derek straightened his tie, forced the smile back onto his face. The charming one. The one that worked on judges and cops and church committees. He walked forward, steady, confident. Like 41 bikers staring him down was nothing. Afternoon, gentlemen. His voice carried across the parking lot, smooth, controlled. Something I can help you with. Nobody answered. Marcus stepped forward from the line, stopped 10 feet away. We're just here visiting a friend. A friend? Derek's smile tightened. And who might that be? Rachel Turner, apartment 3C. Ah, Derek nodded slowly. My ex, the mother of my son. He tilted his head, studied Marcus like he was examining a bug. And you are a concerned neighbor. I see. Derek glanced at the cameras, at the phones recording, at the GoPros mounted on vests. Quite a lot of concerned neighbors. She's popular. Derek laughed, the kind of laugh that didn't reach his eyes. Look, I don't know what Rachel told you, but she's not well. Mentally, she has anxiety, depression, makes up stories for attention. He spread his hands, reasonable, understanding. I'm just here to see my son. That's all. Father's rights. Marcus didn't blink. Then you won't mind us watching. The mask flickered, just for a heartbeat. Actually, I do mind. This is harassment, intimidation. Derek pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. Please do. Steele's voice came from behind Marcus, deep, certain. We'd love them here. Derek's thumb hovered over the screen. His jaw worked, calculating again. He made the call. Yes, I'd like to report a disturbance. Cactus Ridge Apartments. There's a motorcycle gang surrounding me, threatening me. Pause. Derek Collins. Yes, that Derek Collins. Robert Collins is my uncle. He hung up. Smile returned. Officers will be here shortly, and when they arrive, you'll all be arrested for intimidation and harassment. I hope you enjoy county lockup. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. They just kept filming. 8 minutes. That's how long it took Phoenix PD to arrive. 2 squad cars, Officers Rodriguez and Chen. Rodriguez stepped out first, surveyed the scene. 41 bikers on one side, 1 man in a suit on the other. Mr. Collins, he nodded. What seems to be the problem? Derek pointed at the bikers. These people are harassing me, preventing me from seeing my son. I want them removed. Rodriguez looked at Marcus. Sir, no harassment, officer. We're standing on public property, not blocking anything, not threatening anyone. Marcus gestured at the cameras. Just filming, peacefully, legally. Rodriguez frowned, looked back at Derek. Sir, they appear to be within their rights. They're not on private property. They're not blocking access. They're intimidating me. Are they threatening you, making verbal threats? Derek's jaw tightened. Their presence is threatening. That's not illegal, sir. The mask cracked wider. Derek's voice rose. Do you know who I am? My uncle is Robert Collins, City Council. I golf with Deputy Chief Henderson every Sunday. I've donated to your department's charity fund for 5 years. Rodriguez's expression didn't change. I'm aware of who you are, Mr. Collins, but standing on public property isn't a crime regardless of who's doing it. This is ridiculous. Derek ran a hand through his perfect hair. First sign of frustration. I'm here to see my son. I have rights as a father. Do you have a custody agreement? Not officially, but court-ordered visitation. No, but I'm his father, his biological father. That gives me rights. Rodriguez pulled out his notepad. Sir, without a custody agreement, you don't have the right to demand access. The mother has primary custody by default. Yeah, Derek's face went red. The charm evaporated. She's unfit. She's mentally unstable. She's associating with criminals. These individuals have no outstanding warrants. Rodriguez checked with Chen, who nodded confirmation. No criminal records among any of them. That's impossible. Look at them. Appearance isn't a crime, Mr. Collins. Derek stepped closer to Rodriguez, lowered his voice, the voice he used when he wanted something. Officer, you're making a mistake. A big one. I promise you there will be consequences for this. My uncle... Sir, I'd advise you to step back. You don't understand who you're dealing with. Sir, step back now. Something dangerous flashed in Derek's eyes, the same look Rachel had seen 100 times. Right before things got bad, but there were 41 witnesses, 41 cameras, 2 police officers. He stepped back. I want to see my son. His voice was cold now. No more charm, no more smiles. I have a right to see my son. Rodriguez turned to Marcus. Is the mother here? Can she come down? Marcus pulled out his phone, texted Rachel. 30 seconds later, she appeared at the top of the stairs. Ethan clutched her hand, pressed against her leg, not looking at his father. Derek's expression shifted, softened, the mask sliding back into place. Rachel, sweetheart, what's going on here? Who are these people? Rachel's voice didn't waver. Friends. Friends, Derek laughed. Since when do you have friends like this? Since today. This is crazy. You know that, right? This is absolutely crazy. He spread his arms, appealing to the officers. Look at her. Look at who she's brought here. What kind of mother surrounds her child with gang members? Rodriguez looked at Rachel. Ma'am, do you feel safe? Rachel nodded. And do you want this man to take your son? No. Her voice cracked, but she held firm. No, I don't. Derek's mask shattered. You can't do this. His voice rose. He's my son. My son. You don't get to keep him from me. You don't get to poison him against me. Sir, lower your voice. I'll do whatever I want. I'm his father. Derek pointed at Rachel. She's lying. She's always lying. She's mentally ill. She makes up stories. Daddy's the one lying. Everyone froze. Ethan had stepped forward, small, trembling, but his voice was clear. Ethan. Derek's tone changed instantly, warm, fatherly. Buddy, come here. It's okay. Daddy's here. Ethan shook his head. I don't want to go with you. Buddy, don't be silly. Of course you want to. You hurt Mommy. Silence, complete and total. Derek laughed nervously. What? No, Buddy, that's not true. Mommy and Daddy just argue sometimes. That's all. I saw you. Ethan's voice got stronger. I saw you push her. I saw you grab her neck. I saw you make her cry. Ethan, that's enough. You said you'd take me away. You said she'd never see me again. I said that's enough. Derek's roar echoed across the parking lot. Everyone saw it. The real Derek. The one Rachel had been living with for years, the monster behind the mask. Ethan burst into tears, ran to his mother, buried his face in her legs. Rodriguez stepped between Derek and the stairs. Mr. Collins, I think you need to leave. I'm not leaving without my son. Sir, you need to leave. No. Or what? You'll arrest me for wanting to see my own child, for disturbing the peace, for raising your voice at a minor, for creating a hostile situation. Rodriguez's hand moved to his belt, not his gun, his radio. And I'm calling for additional units. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Derek looked around, at the bikers who hadn't moved an inch, at the cameras still rolling, at his son crying in his mother's arms, at the officers blocking his path. The calculations happened fast, visible on his face. This wasn't a battle he could win. Not today, not here. He straightened his tie, forced the smile back, but it looked wrong now. Broken. Fine, I'll leave. He pointed at Rachel. But this isn't over. Not by a long shot. I'll be back, with my lawyer, with a court order, and then we'll see who's unfit. He turned, walked back to his Mercedes, got in, slammed the door. The engine roared to life, but he didn't drive away immediately. He sat there, staring at them through the windshield. Rachel felt his eyes on her, that familiar chill running down her spine. Then the Mercedes pulled out, disappeared around the corner. Gone. For now. Rachel's legs gave out. She would have fallen if Marcus hadn't caught her. Easy, easy. You're okay. You did it. Did I? She was shaking, the whole body trembling. She thought she'd left behind. Did I really, Esta? You stood up to him, in front of everyone. That took guts. He'll come back. You heard him. He'll come back with lawyers and court orders and we'll be here. Marcus helped her sit on the bottom step. Whatever he brings, we'll be ready. Ethan climbed into her lap, still crying softly. Mommy, is the scary man gone? Yeah, baby, he's gone. Is he coming back? Rachel looked at Marcus, at the 41 bikers still standing watch, at the officers taking statements. I don't know, baby, but we're not alone anymore. Hawk approached, the family law attorney, notebook in hand. Rachel, I'm Sarah. I'm a lawyer. Can we talk? Rachel nodded, too exhausted to speak. What he did today? Yelling at a minor, making threats in front of witnesses. Hawk smiled. It was a predator's smile. That's admissible. All of it. Every camera caught it. We can use this. Use it for what? Restraining order, emergency custody hearing, documentation of threatening behavior. Hawk knelt beside her. Rachel, I've handled cases like this for 15 years. Men like Derek think they're untouchable. They're not. They just haven't met someone willing to fight back. I can't afford a lawyer. You don't need to. I'm doing this pro bono. Rachel blinked. Why? Because my mother spent 20 years with a man like Derek. Because no one helped her. Because by the time she got out, she'd lost everything. Hawk's voice hardened. I became a lawyer so other women wouldn't have to go through that. So consider this personal. Ghost approached next, phone in hand. Got something you need to see. He showed Rachel the screen. Text messages, screenshots, phone records. We've been digging. Derek's pattern goes back 10 years. Jennifer Martinez, Amy Shelton, Keisha Brown, 3 women, same story. File reports, drop reports, disappear. Ghost scrolled. But here's the thing. They're willing to talk now. What? I reached out, told them what happened today, told them there were 41 witnesses who saw Derek lose his mask. Ghost looked at her. They want to testify, all 3 of them. Together. They couldn't do it alone. But together, also, Rachel couldn't process it. Too much happening, too fast. Why? Why would they help me? Because you did something they couldn't. You asked for help. You found people who believed you. Ghost put his phone away. Courage is contagious, Rachel. You started something here. Mrs. Delgado appeared at the edge of the crowd, 68 years old, lived in apartment 1A. Rachel had seen her 100 times, never spoken more than hello. Miss Turner, Rachel looked up. I want to make a statement. Mrs. Delgado's voice was firm. I've heard them fighting, heard him yelling, heard things breaking. I called the police twice. They never came. She looked at the officers. I'll testify. Put it in writing, whatever you need. Mr. Patterson from across the hall stepped forward. Me too. I've heard it. Heard that little boy crying at night. It's not right. The young couple from 3B. Will testify. The elderly man from 2C. Same here. 6 neighbors, all stepping up, all willing to speak. All witnesses to what Derek thought he'd hidden behind closed doors. Officer Rodriguez approached Rachel. Ma'am, I owe you an apology. She looked up, confused. Months ago, you came to the station. Filed a report. I remember because I pulled it this morning after we got the call. He paused. We didn't follow up. We should have. I should have. You believed him. I believed his credentials, his reputation, his uncle's name. Rodriguez shook his head. That was wrong. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix what happened. No, it doesn't. He pulled out a card. But this might. Detective Maria Sanchez, domestic violence specialist. She's already been briefed. She wants to meet with you tomorrow. Build a real case. One that sticks. Rachel took the card, stared at it. 6 months ago, she'd walked into that same station, shown them the bruises, the text, the fear. They'd looked at her like she was making it up. Now they were apologizing. Now they wanted to help. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so she did both. Patch, the former Army medic, approached with his medical bag. Ma'am, I'd like to check you over. Make sure you're okay. I'm fine, Sam. You're shaking. Pulse is probably elevated. That's normal after acute stress. He knelt beside her. Gentle, professional. Just let me take your blood pressure. Make sure nothing's spiked. She let him. Didn't have the energy to refuse. 120/85. Elevated but not dangerous. He pulled out a bottle of water. Drink this. Small sips. Stay hydrated. She drank. The water was cold, real, grounding. Ethan had stopped crying. He was watching the bikers with wide eyes. Mommy? Yeah, baby? Are they superheroes? Rachel looked at the men and women in leather, the tattoos, the patches, the kind of people she'd been taught to fear her whole life. Yeah, baby, I think they are. Mountain walked over, all 340 pounds of him. Ethan's eyes got even wider. Hey, little man. Mountain's voice was surprisingly gentle. You were really brave today. Ethan hid his face in Rachel's shoulder. It's okay. I know I'm big and scary looking. Mountain smiled. But you know what I do I help kids at school who are scared. Just like you. Ethan peeked out. Really? Really? And you know what being scared doesn't mean you're not brave. Being brave means you're scared, but you do the right thing anyway. Mountain extended a fist. You did the right thing today. That deserves a fist bump. Ethan hesitated, then slowly, tentatively bumped Mountain's massive fist with his tiny one. There you go. Now you're an honorary member of our crew. Ethan almost smiled. First time all day. Steele approached Rachel, the leader, the one who'd organized all of this. How you holding up? I don't know. Rachel shook her head. I can't believe this is real. Any of it. It's real and it's just the beginning. What do you mean? Derek's not going to let this go. Men like him don't. They escalate, they retaliate. They find new ways to hurt you. Steele's voice was calm, matter of fact. So we stay ahead of him, document everything, build the case, make sure that when he tries something, he regrets it. You can't be here forever. We can be here when it matters. Steele pulled out a card, different from the detective's card, just a phone number. Day or night, you call that number, someone answers. Within 30 minutes, you'll have backup. That's a promise. Rachel took the card, held it like a lifeline. Why are you doing all this? You don't even know me. Steele was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, softer. 20 years ago, my sister was married to a man like Derek. Perfect on the outside, monster behind closed doors. She asked for help. Nobody came. Nobody believed her. He paused. She didn't make it out. Rachel's breath caught. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just survive. That's how you honor people like her. Steele straightened. We started this club because too many people fall through the cracks. The system fails them. Family fails them. Everyone looks the other way. He gestured at the bikers. We don't look away. We show up. That's what we do. Rachel looked at them, all 41 of them, still standing, still watching, still there, but thank you. Her voice broke. Thank you. Steele just nodded. Don't thank us yet. The hard part's just starting. That night, Rachel couldn't sleep. Not because of fear this time, because of something else. Hope. It felt strange, unfamiliar, like wearing clothes that didn't quite fit. She lay next to Ethan, watched him breathe. His face was peaceful for the first time in months. Her phone sat on the nightstand, 2 cards beside it. Detective Sanchez, the club's emergency line. Help, she had help. The word felt foreign in her mouth. She'd spent so long alone. So long believing no one would come. No one would care. And then a stranger at a gas station had changed everything. She thought about Marcus, the way he'd caught her when she fell, the kindness in his eyes. She thought about Hawk, the predator's smile when she talked about destroying Derek in court. She thought about Mountain, making Ethan laugh for the first time in weeks. She thought about Steele, his sister who didn't make it out, the pain he'd turned into purpose. 41 strangers who showed up because she asked. 41 people who believed her when no one else would. Rachel picked up her phone, typed a message to Marcus. I don't know how to thank you. The reply came 30 seconds later. You just did. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be busy. She smiled, actually smiled. Then she closed her eyes. And for the first time in 5 years, Rachel Turner slept without nightmares. But across town, Derek Collins wasn't sleeping. He sat in his home office, expensive whiskey in hand, laptop open, phone to his ear. I don't care what it costs. I want full custody. I want her declared unfit. I want those bikers arrested for intimidation, harassment, whatever you can make stick. His lawyer's voice crackled through the phone, cautious, measured. Derek, they didn't do anything illegal. They were on public property. They didn't threaten you. They have video of everything, including your outburst. My outburst, Derek's voice rose. She turned my son against me. She brought a gang to intimidate me, and I'm the one who had an outburst. I'm just telling you how it looks. On camera, you're the aggressor. You yelled at a 7-year-old. That doesn't play well in family court. Then make it go away. That's what I pay you for. Derek, I'm trying to help you here. Maybe it's time to step back. Let things cool down. A judge sees this footage. I don't care what a judge sees. I care about winning. I always win. Silence on the other end. Derek, listen to me. This isn't a negotiation you can charm your way through. This isn't a business deal. This is family court. Different rules, different game, and right now you're losing. Derek's hand tightened on the glass, knuckles white. Then change the game. What do you mean? You know what I mean. Find something on her, on those bikers, on anyone. Dig until you find dirt. Everyone has dirt. That's not exactly ethical. I didn't ask about ethics. I asked about results. Derek's voice dropped. Cold, dangerous. Make it happen, or I'll find someone who will. He hung up, drained his whiskey, poured another. The laptop screen glowed. He'd been looking at Rachel's social media, the bikers' pages, anything he could find. Names, faces, patterns. Marcus Reynolds, Morrison Motorcycle Repair, ex-drunk, ex-nothing. Victor Mendez, Veterans Outreach, former Marine. Sarah Reynolds, family law attorney, his opposing counsel now. He saved every photo, every detail. If he couldn't win in court, he'd win another way. Derek Collins didn't lose, not to some waitress with a sob story, not to a bunch of bikers playing hero, not to anyone. He picked up his phone again. Different number this time. Someone who owed him favors. Someone who didn't ask questions. It's Derek. I need information. And I need it fast. The voice on the other end laughed. What kind of information? The kind that destroys people. Pause. That's going to cost extra. I don't care about cost. I care about results. Send me the names. Derek smiled, the real smile, the one Rachel knew too well. Already done. He hung up, leaned back in his chair. They thought they won today. They had no idea what was coming. Part 3 Louis Viet Born Tham Nguyen Vam Hon to Liên Kết Liên Mạch với các phần trước trong câu chuyện phê hội thoại, tạo thành một câu chuyện liền mạch khi ghép lại. Mỗi phần liền mạch với phần trước, không giới thiệu lại câu chuyện ở đầu phần mới. Liên kết các phần của câu chuyện một cách liền mạch, sử dụng câu chuyện tiếp giữa các phần, duy trì chủ đề. Tránh ngắt quãng đột ngột, không sử dụng gạch đầu dòng hoặc tiêu đề phụ phong cách kể chuyện Mỹ Hoa Kỳ giống dân giàu cảm xúc chân thực và gần gũi, không mô tả cảnh, tập trung vào hành động, cảm xúc và tâm lý nhân vật. Viết phần 2 đặc điểm 10/10 và bổ sung tiết tấu câu chuyện nhanh, sửa lỗi AI, kể theo ngôi thứ 3 tăng độ kịch tính, không viết lăn, màn kết thúc phần không giới thiệu phần sau. Lưu ý trả lời trong một tin nhắn, không nhảy sang mức document mới, 2-3 phút cần có mini climax và đắt 15 mini climax mỗi, phần cứ 12 phút có một twist lớn sâu sắc, đan xen mini cliffhanger mạnh hơn. Tăng tính tự nhiên cho phản ứng của các nhân vật, thêm nhịp điệu kịch tính thực tế và gần gũi. 18-10 phút cần có móc giữ chân khán giả. Lưu ý không mô tả cảnh và chỉ cần viết nội dung và viết đúng lần nhé. Show more 0933 part 4, the counterattack. 3 days after the confrontation, Derek made his first move. Rachel was walking Ethan to school when she noticed the car. Black sedan, tinted windows, parked across the street from her apartment. Same spot, 3 mornings in a row. She called Marcus. Someone's watching me. Where should black sedan across from my building? Been there since Monday. Don't approach it. Don't let them know you've noticed. I'm sending someone. 20 minutes later, Ghost pulled up on his motorcycle. Casual, like he was just passing through. He circled the block twice, got the plates, ran them through contacts who didn't ask questions. His text came an hour later. Cars registered to Apex Investigations, private detective firm. 3 guesses who hired them. Rachel's stomach dropped. Derek wasn't just fighting back. He was building a case, gathering evidence, looking for anything he could use against her. She called Hawk. He's having me followed. I know, Ghost told me. Hawk's voice was calm, focused. It's legal. Annoying, but legal. Private investigators can observe from public spaces. So I just have to live with it. For now, but here's the thing. They're not going to find anything. You're not doing anything wrong. You're working, taking care of your son, meeting with lawyers. Let them watch. Let them waste Derek's money. What if they twist something, make it look bad? That's why we're documenting everything too. Every interaction, every meeting, every moment. When this goes to court, we'll have more evidence than they do. Rachel hung up, looked out the window. The black sedan was still there, watching, waiting. She pulled the curtains closed. Detective Sanchez called that afternoon. Rachel, I need you to come to the station. There's been a development. Good or bad? Both, just come. An hour later, Rachel sat in an interview room. Not the cold kind from cop shows. A comfortable one. Soft chairs, box of tissues on the table. The kind of room they use for victims. Sanchez slid a folder across the table. Jennifer Martinez flew in this morning. She's ready to give a formal statement. Rachel opened the folder. Photos, documents, medical records. These are from 4 years ago. Yes, broken wrist, fractured rib, bruises consistent with strangulation. Sanchez pointed at a photo. Same pattern as your injuries, same locations, same excuses when she went to the ER. Rachel's hands shook. He did this to her too. And to Amy Shelton and Keisha Brown. Sanchez leaned forward. Rachel, you're not alone in this. You never were. You're just the first one brave enough to fight back with support. Where are they, the other women? Jennifer's in the building. She wants to meet you, if you're comfortable with that. Rachel nodded, couldn't speak. 5 minutes later, a woman walked in. Mid-30s, blonde hair, strong jaw. But her eyes held something familiar. That haunted look Rachel saw in her own mirror every morning. Rachel, Jennifer. They stared at each other, 2 strangers connected by the same monster. Jennifer sat down, took a breath. I've thought about you every day since Ghost called me. Wondered if you were okay. Wondered if you were like me. Her voice cracked. Wondering if you were still alive. I almost wasn't, a few times. Yeah, Jennifer nodded. Yeah, I know that feeling. They talked for 2 hours, shared stories, compared scars, visible and invisible, discovered patterns so identical, it was like reading the same book with different characters. The charm offensive, the isolation, the first accident, the escalation, the threats about custody, the system that believed him over them. Same script, 3 different victims, spanning 10 years. Why did you drop the restraining order? Rachel asked. Jennifer's face hardened. He showed up at my workplace. Didn't say anything threatening. Just stood there, smiled at me, let me know he could find me anywhere. She paused. Then my car got vandalized. Then my apartment got broken into. Nothing taken, just everything moved. So I'd know he'd been there. The police didn't help. The police said there was no evidence connecting him to any of it. No fingerprints, no witnesses. Jennifer laughed bitterly. He's smart, always has been, knows exactly how far to push without leaving proof. So you ran. I ran, changed my name, moved 3 states away, started over. Jennifer met Rachel's eyes. But I never stopped being afraid. Never stopped checking over my shoulder. Never stopped wondering when he'd find me again. And now you're back. Because of you. Jennifer reached across the table, took Rachel's hand. You did something I couldn't do. You found people who believed you, people who showed up. Her grip tightened. I'm done running. We all are. Amy and Keisha are flying in tomorrow. We're going to end this. Together. Rachel felt tears streaming down her face. Didn't bother wiping them. I was so alone. For so long. Not anymore. Jennifer squeezed her hand. Never again. The next morning, Derek's lawyer filed an emergency motion. Hawk called Rachel at 7 a.m. He's going for custody, full custody, claims you're mentally unstable, associating with criminal elements, creating an unsafe environment for Ethan. Rachel's blood ran cold. Can he do that? He can file, doesn't mean he'll win. Hawk's voice was sharp, battle ready. Hearings in 4 days. Judge Morrison. She's tough but fair. We need to be prepared. What do I do? Nothing different. Keep working. Keep taking care of Ethan. Keep documenting everything. Pause. And Rachel, don't let him see you scared. That's what he wants. 4 days. 4 days to prepare for the fight of her life. Ghost went into overdrive. Every connection, every favor, every digital breadcrumb Derek had ever left. What he found changed everything. Call a meeting. His voice was tight when he phoned Steele. Tonight, everyone. This is big. By 8 p.m., the clubhouse was full. Marcus, Steele, Hawk, Mountain, Patch, every member who'd been there from the beginning. Ghost stood at the front, laptop connected to a projector, face grim. I've been digging into Derek's finances, his connections, his history. He clicked to the first slide. What I found is worse than we thought. Bank statements appeared on screen, transactions highlighted in red. 6 months ago, Jennifer Martinez's apartment in Colorado was broken into. Nothing stolen, just violated. Ghost pointed. The same week, Derek made a cash withdrawal of $5,000. No explanation, no receipt. He clicked again. More statements. 2 years ago, Amy Shelton's car was vandalized. Same pattern. A week later, $3,000 in cash from Derek. Another click. Keisha Brown's workplace received anonymous complaints that got her fired. Guess what happened to Derek's bank account that month? Steele leaned forward. He's been paying someone to harass them. Not just harass, terrorize, systematically. Ghost pulled up another document. I found the connection. Guy named Vincent Nero, ex-cop, lost his badge for excessive force, now works as a security consultant. His bank deposits match Derek's withdrawals every single time. The room went silent. There's more. Ghost's voice dropped. Nero's been in Phoenix for the past week, staying at a motel 6 blocks from Rachel's apartment. Marcus stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. He's planning something. I think so, and I think it's happening soon. Ghost looked at Steele. We need to move her, tonight. Rachel was packing when they arrived. Marcus explained everything. The money trail, Vincent Nero, the pattern of escalation. You're not safe here anymore. Rachel's hands trembled as she shoved clothes into a bag. Ethan was in his room gathering toys, not understanding why they were leaving, but trusting his mother. Where do we go? Vixen has a safe house, off the grid, no connection to any of us on paper. Marcus helped her with the bags. You'll stay there until the hearing. And after we make sure Derek can never hurt anyone again. They loaded into 3 vehicles. Rachel and Ethan in Hawk's sedan, Marcus and Mountain on motorcycles, Ghost in a pickup watching the mirrors for any tail. The safe house was 40 minutes outside Phoenix, small, quiet, neighbors who minded their own business. Hawk walked Rachel through the security system. Cameras on all entrances, motion sensors around the perimeter. Panic button connects directly to our emergency line. She handed Rachel a phone. Burner. Only our numbers programmed in. Don't use your regular phone until this is over. Rachel looked around, a stranger's house, hiding from the man she'd once loved. How did her life become this, Mommy? Ethan tugged her sleeve. Are we on an adventure? Rachel knelt down, forced a smile. Yeah, baby, a big adventure. Is it because of Daddy? She couldn't lie to him, not anymore. Daddy made some bad choices, and until he learns to make better ones, we need to stay somewhere safe. Ethan thought about this. Like a timeout. Exactly like a timeout. Good. Ethan nodded seriously. Timeouts help you think about what you did wrong. Rachel hugged him tight, fighting tears, out of the mouths of babes. That night, Derek discovered Rachel was gone. He drove to her apartment, knocked on the door, no answer, looked through the windows, empty. His phone was in his hand before he reached his car. She's gone, took my son and disappeared. His lawyer's voice was cautious. Derek, if she felt threatened, I don't care what she felt. She took my son. That's kidnapping. It's not kidnapping if she has primary custody, which she does. Then find her. Use your contacts. Use Nero. Use whoever you have to. Derek, I really think I don't pay you to think. I pay you to win. His voice dropped to ice. Find them. He hung up, stared at the empty apartment. She thought she could run, thought she could hide. She had no idea who she was dealing with. Derek had never lost. Not in business, not in court, not in anything. He wasn't about to start now. Vincent Nero was good at his job. By morning, he had a lead. Credit card transaction at a gas station outside Phoenix, Hawk's card. Filled up 3 vehicles, headed northwest. He narrowed the area, cross-referenced property records. Safe houses used by legal aid organizations, known associates of the bikers. By noon, he had an address. He texted Derek, found them. What do you want me to do? The response came instantly. Watch, wait, document everything. I want evidence she's unfit. I want photos of those bikers coming and going. I want anything I can use. That's going to take time. Then take time, but get me what I need. Nero settled into his rental car, half-mile from the safe house. Good sight lines, telephoto lens ready. He'd done this 100 times. Different clients, different targets. Same game. Watch, wait, find the weakness. Everyone had one. What Nero didn't know was that Ghost had been tracking him since Denver. The alert pinged on Ghost's phone at 2 p.m. Motion sensor. Someone had driven past the safe house 3 times in the last hour. He pulled the satellite feed. Got the plates. Same rental company Nero had used before. We've got company. Marcus was there in 20 minutes. Mountain right behind. They didn't confront Nero. That would tip their hand. Instead, they documented, photographed his car, his movements, his patterns, building their own case. Let him watch. Let him think he was invisible. They'd use his own surveillance against him. The hearing arrived faster than Rachel expected. 4 days of hiding, 4 days of preparing, 4 days of rehearsing answers with Hawk until she could recite them in her sleep. Now she sat in a courtroom. Derek on one side, his expensive lawyers surrounding him like sharks. Her on the other side, Hawk beside her, the club members in the gallery. Judge Morrison entered, 70 years old, gray hair, eyes that had seen every trick in the book. This is an emergency custody hearing in the matter of Turner versus Collins. Mr. Collins has filed for full custody of the minor child Ethan Turner, age 7. She looked at both sides. Let's keep this civil. Counsel for the petitioner, you may begin. Derek's lawyer stood, smooth, polished, the kind of man who won by making everyone else look stupid. Your Honor, my client is a respected attorney, church deacon, and devoted father. He's here today because the respondent has engaged in a pattern of behavior that puts their son at risk. He clicked a remote. Photos appeared on a screen. These images show the respondent associating with known motorcycle club members, men with criminal histories, men who have befriended a 7-year-old child with their presence. Hawk leaned over to Rachel. Breathe. We expected this. Furthermore, the lawyer continued, the respondent has fled her residence, taken the child to an undisclosed location, and refused to allow my client any contact with his son. Judge Morrison looked at the photos, then at Rachel. Counsel for the respondent. Hawk stood, calm, confident. Your Honor, my client removed herself and her son from an unsafe situation. She has documented evidence of years of physical and emotional abuse by the petitioner. She has witnesses. She has medical records. And she has 3 other women who will testify to identical patterns of behavior spanning a decade. Derek's lawyer scoffed. Your Honor, these alleged witnesses are strangers the respondent has never met. This is clearly a coordinated smear campaign. I have their sworn statements here. Hawk held up a folder. Jennifer Martinez, Amy Shelton, Keisha Brown, all victims of Mr. Collins, all willing to testify under oath. Judge Morrison raised an eyebrow. 3 additional witnesses. Yes, Your Honor, all with restraining orders against the petitioner, with documented injuries, all with identical stories of abuse and intimidation. Derek's face reddened. He whispered furiously to his lawyer. Your Honor, and the lawyer tried to recover. These women have no relevance to this custody case. We're here to discuss the welfare of one child, not relitigate decade-old claims. They establish a pattern, Your Honor. Hawk cut in. A pattern of control, a pattern of violence, a pattern of using the legal system to further victimize the women who try to escape. Judge Morrison held up a hand. I'll allow the testimony continue. Hawk called Jennifer Martinez to the stand. Jennifer walked forward, hands steady, eyes locked on Derek. She told her story, every detail, the charm, the isolation, the first hit, the escalation, the threats, the harassment after she left. He told me if I ever spoke about what happened, he'd destroy me. Jennifer's voice never wavered. He said no one would believe a nobody like me over someone like him. And why are you speaking now? Jennifer looked at Rachel, then at Derek. Because Rachel did something I couldn't. She found people who believed her. And I realized I'd been letting fear control me for 4 years. She straightened. I'm done being afraid. Amy testified next. Same story, different details, same monster. Then Keisha, same pattern, same control, same destruction. 3 women, 3 lives shattered by the same man. Derek sat rigid, the charming smile gone, something dark brewing behind his eyes. His lawyer tried to discredit them, asked about their mental health, their relationships, their motivations. Each woman held firm. Each woman told the truth. Then it was Rachel's turn. She walked to the witness stand, legs shaking but steady enough. Hawk guided her through the questions, the timeline, the abuse, the failed attempts to get help, the system that kept failing her. Then she asked the question that mattered most. Rachel, what made you finally ask for help? Rachel took a breath. My son, Ethan, was drawing pictures, families, happy families. Her voice cracked. But in every picture, the father was scribbled out. Black crayon, so hard it tore the paper. The courtroom went quiet. He saw everything, heard everything, knew exactly what was happening. He was 7 years old and already learning that the people who should protect you are the ones who hurt you most. She looked at Derek, right in his eyes. I stayed silent because I was afraid. Afraid no one would believe me. Afraid I'd lose my son. Afraid of what he'd do if I spoke up. Tears fell freely now. But I realized something. My silence wasn't protecting Ethan. It was teaching him that abuse is normal, that fear is just how life works. She wiped her face. So I asked a stranger for help, a man I'd been taught to fear, and he showed up. He and 40 other people who didn't know me, didn't owe me anything, showed up because I asked. Rachel's voice grew stronger. That's what I want to teach my son, that there are good people in the world, that asking for help isn't weakness, that monsters don't win just because they wear nice suits and go to church. She looked at the judge. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes, but I love my son, and I will spend the rest of my life protecting him. That's all I have to say. Judge Morrison nodded slowly. Thank you, Miss Turner. Derek's lawyer stood for cross-examination, but something had shifted in the room. The air felt different. He asked his questions, tried to rattle her, pointed out inconsistencies, questioned her judgment. Rachel answered calmly, honestly, without flinching. When it was over, Judge Morrison called a recess. We'll reconvene in 1 hour. I need to review the evidence. Rachel walked out of the courtroom on shaking legs. Marcus was waiting in the hallway. You did good. Did I? I can't tell anymore. You told the truth. That's all you can do. He handed her a water bottle. The rest is up to the judge. 1 hour. 1 hour to decide Ethan's future. 1 hour to find out if the system would finally work. Rachel sat in the hallway, hands clasped, eyes closed, praying to anyone who would listen. And down the hall, Derek Collins was on his phone. Voice low, furious. I don't care how. Find something. Anything. This judge is about to rule against me and I need ammunition. His lawyer pulled him aside. Derek, stop. You're making things worse. She's turning my son against me. She's destroying my reputation. She's winning. And the more you fight like this, the worse it looks. Derek's face contorted. I never lose. There's a first time for everything. Derek stared at him, something breaking behind his eyes. Then he smiled. The smile that Rachel knew too well, the one that meant something terrible was about to happen. We'll see about that. He walked away. His lawyer watched him go and felt for the first time genuine fear for what his client might do next. Part 4. Louis Viet Vornhan 4500 to liên kết liên mạch với các phần trước trong câu chuyện phá hội thoại tạo thành một câu chuyện liên mạch khi ghép lại. Mỗi phần liền mạch với phần trước, không giới thiệu lại câu chuyện ở đầu phần mới. Liên kết các phần của câu chuyện một cách liền mạch, sử dụng câu chuyện tiếp giữa các phần, duy trì chủ đề, tránh ngắt quãng đột ngột, không sử dụng gạch đầu dòng hoặc tiêu đề phụ phong cách kể chuyện Mỹ Hoa Kỳ, giống văn giàu cảm xúc chân thực và gần gũi, không mô tả cảnh, tập trung vào hành động cảm xúc và tâm lý nhân vật. Viết phần 2 đạt điểm 10/10/10 và bổ sung tiết tấu câu chuyện nhanh, sửa lời AI kể theo. Ngôi thứ 3 tăng độ kịch tính, không viết lần man kết thúc, phần không giới thiệu phần sau. Lưu ý trả lời trong một tin nhắn, không nhảy sang mức document mới. 2-3 phút cần có mini climax và đạt 10-15 mini climax, 7 phần cứ 10-12 phút có một twist lớn sâu sắc, đạn xen mini cliffhanger mạnh hơn. Tăng tính tự nhiên cho phản ứng của các nhân vật, thêm nhịp điệu kịch tính thực tế và gần gũi. 18-10 phút cần có móc giữ chân khán giả. Lưu ý không mô tả cảnh và chỉ cần viết nội dung và viết đúng lệnh nhé. Show more 09, 36, Part 4, The Verdict. Judge Morrison returned exactly 1 hour later. Rachel's heart hammered so loud she was certain everyone could hear it. Hawk squeezed her hand under the table. Across the aisle, Derek sat rigid, jaw-clenched, eyes fixed on the judge, like he could will her to decide in his favor. The courtroom fell silent. Judge Morrison opened a folder, read for what felt like an eternity, then looked up. I've reviewed the evidence presented by both parties, the testimony, the documentation, the witness statements. She paused. This is one of the most troubling cases I've seen in 30 years on the bench. Rachel stopped breathing. Mr. Collins, the judge's voice hardened. You came into this courtroom expecting your reputation to speak for you. Church deacon, youth coach, respected attorney. She held up a photo. But reputations can be masks, and masks eventually fall. When Derek's lawyer started to stand. Your Honor. Sit down, counsel, I'm not finished. He sat. I have testimony from 3 women. 3 separate women who have never met each other, all describing identical patterns of abuse, identical methods of control, identical threats. Judge Morrison's eyes locked on Derek. That's not coincidence. That's predation. Derek's face drained of color. Furthermore, I have documentation showing financial transactions that coincide with harassment campaigns against these women. I have evidence of a private investigator currently surveilling the respondent, and I have video footage from the incident at Cactus Ridge Apartments showing you screaming at your 7-year-old son. She closed the folder. Mr. Collins, I'm denying your petition for custody, effective immediately. Derek shot to his feet. You can't do this. I can, and I am. Sit down. This is my son. You can't keep me from my son. Mr. Collins, if you don't sit down right now, I will have you removed and held in contempt. His lawyer grabbed his arm, pulled him back into his seat. Derek was shaking, rage rolling off him in waves. Judge Morrison continued, I'm granting Ms. Turner full legal and physical custody of the minor child. Additionally, I'm issuing a temporary restraining order against Mr. Collins. No contact with Ms. Turner or Ethan. No approaching within 500 feet of their residence, school, or workplace. Rachel let out a sob. Hawk's arm went around her shoulders. This restraining order will remain in effect pending a full hearing in 30 days. At that time, we'll determine whether to make it permanent. The judge looked at Derek. Mr. Collins, I strongly suggest you use this time to reflect on your choices. The evidence against you is substantial. If you violate this order in any way, you will be arrested. Derek said nothing, just stared at the judge with murder in his eyes. Furthermore, I'm referring this case to the district attorney's office for review. The pattern of behavior documented here may warrant criminal charges. Judge Morrison gathered her papers. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Rachel couldn't move. It was over. After years of fear, years of silence, years of believing no one would help, it was over. Hawk helped her stand. Come on, let's get you out of here. They walked toward the exit, Rachel's legs barely working. The club members fell in around her, a protective wall of leather and loyalty. Derek remained seated, frozen, his lawyer talking urgently in his ear, but Derek wasn't listening. He was watching Rachel leave, and something in his expression made Marcus's blood run cold. They didn't go back to the safe house. Steele made the call. Too risky. Derek knew they were hiding her somewhere outside Phoenix. Better to move. Keep moving. New location, a cabin owned by Mountain's cousin. Deep in the mountains. No paper trail. No connection to anyone Derek could trace. Rachel carried Ethan to the car. He'd fallen asleep in Hawk's office, exhausted from a day of being shuffled between strangers while his mother fought for their future. Mommy. He stirred as she buckled him in. Did we win? Rachel smiled. First real smile in days. Yeah, baby, we won. Is Daddy going to leave us alone now? She hesitated, didn't want to lie, didn't want to scare him either. The judge told him he has to, so we're safe now. Ethan nodded, already drifting back to sleep. Good, I like being safe. Rachel kissed his forehead, closed the door gently. Marcus was waiting. How you holding up? I don't know. Rachel leaned against the car, exhausted beyond words. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. That's trauma talking. It's normal. Normal. She laughed bitterly. I don't even remember what normal feels like. You'll find it again. Takes time. Marcus opened the passenger door for her. But first we get you somewhere safe, somewhere Derek can't find. You think he'll try? Marcus looked at her, didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew Derek Collins wouldn't accept this. Men like him never did. 3 hours later, they reached the cabin. Remote, quiet, surrounded by trees that blocked any sight lines from the road. Mountain's cousin had stocked it with food supplies, everything they'd need for a few weeks. The club would rotate watch duty, someone always nearby, always alert. Rachel put Ethan to bed, sat beside him until his breathing deepened. Then she walked out to the porch where Marcus was standing guard. He asleep. Finally. Rachel wrapped her arms around herself. First time in months he fell asleep without asking if Daddy was coming. That's progress. Is it, or is he just learning to stop asking questions? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Kids are resilient, more than we give them credit for. He's going to be okay, Rachel, because you're going to be okay. You sound so sure. I've seen a lot of broken people put themselves back together. You're stronger than most. Rachel looked at him. Really looked. Why do you do this, you and the club? Why risk everything for strangers? Marcus leaned against the railing, eyes distant. Told you about my past, the drinking, the anger, the night I almost ended it. He paused. What I didn't tell you was what happened after. The years of rebuilding, learning to be someone different, someone better. And And I realized something. All that anger, all that pain, it doesn't just disappear. You have to put it somewhere, use it for something. He looked at her. I put mine into helping people who can't help themselves, people who feel as hopeless as I did. So this is penance? No, this is purpose. Marcus straightened. Everyone deserves someone who shows up. Everyone deserves to know they're not alone. That's what I didn't have. What almost killed me. His voice hardened. I can't save everyone, but I can try. Rachel felt tears burning again. Seemed like that's all she did anymore. Cry. I don't know how to thank you, any of you. Don't thank me, just survive. Build a life. Raise that boy to be better than his father. Marcus smiled slightly. That's thanks enough. They stood in silence, the mountain air cool and clean. For the first time in years, Rachel felt something that wasn't fear. Hope, fragile, tentative, but real. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His face changed. What? Rachel's hope evaporated instantly. What is it? Ghost. Marcus's voice was tight. Derek's gone. Gone? What do you mean gone? Left his house 2 hours ago, disabled his GPS, ditched his phone. Marcus was already moving. He's off the grid. Rachel's blood turned to ice. He's coming for me. We don't know that. Yes, we do. You saw his face in that courtroom. He's not going to stop. Her voice rose, panic clawing at her throat. He'll find us. He always finds me. Marcus grabbed her shoulders, firm but gentle. Listen to me. He doesn't know where you are. Nobody does. And even if he did, he'd have to get through me, through Mountain, through 41 people who made a promise. His eyes locked on hers. You're not alone anymore, Rachel. Remember? She nodded, trying to believe it. I need to make some calls. Wake Ethan. Pack a bag, just in case. Just in case what? Marcus didn't answer. He was already on the phone. 200 miles away, Derek Collins drove through the darkness. No GPS, no phone. Cash only. A different car one he'd paid a stranger $5,000 for in a parking lot. The private investigator had come through before disappearing. One final piece of information. A location, Mountain's cousin's cabin, where they thought they could hide. Derek smiled as he drove. They thought a restraining order would stop him. Thought a judge's words meant anything. Thought they'd won. They had no idea. In the trunk, he had everything he needed. Rope, duct tape, his father's hunting rifle, not to kill. That would be too easy, too quick. He wanted Ethan, his son, his property. Rachel could keep her court orders and her biker friends. Once he had Ethan, he'd disappear. New country, new identity. He had money hidden, accounts no one knew about. They'd never find him. And Rachel would spend the rest of her life knowing she'd lost. That's what this was really about. Winning. Derek always won. He pressed the accelerator. The car surged forward into the night. 4 hours, maybe less. Then this would all be over. Back at the Pine, Marcus was organizing. Ghost tracking Derek's last known movements. Steele coordinating club members to create a perimeter. Hawk on the phone with Detective Sanchez, trying to get law enforcement involved. But they all knew the truth. By the time cops arrived, it might be too late. Rachel sat in the living room, Ethan sleeping in her arms, refusing to let him out of her sight. Mountain approached, knelt beside her. Hey, you okay? No, her voice was hollow. I thought it was over. I thought we'd won. We did win. The court case, the custody. Mountain's voice was gentle. But men like Derek, they don't play by rules. They make their own. So what do? We stay alert. We stay together. And if he shows up here, he'll regret it. Rachel looked at Mountain, at the kindness in his eyes despite his massive frame. Will you hurt him? Sure. Only if I have to. Mountain paused. Would that bother you? Rachel thought about it. The years of the fear, the way Ethan flinched at loud noises. No, she said quietly. It wouldn't. Mountain nodded, stood up. Get some rest if you can. We've got watch covered. But Rachel didn't rest. Couldn't rest. She held Ethan and watched the windows and waited for the monster to come. 3 a.m. The first alarm triggered. Motion sensor, north perimeter. Something moving through the trees. Marcus and Mountain were outside instantly. Weapons ready, eyes scanning the darkness. Nothing visible, but that didn't mean nothing was there. Could be an animal, Mountain whispered. Could be. Marcus didn't lower his guard. Stay sharp. They waited. 5 minutes. 10. Another sensor triggered. East side this time. Something was circling the cabin, testing the perimeter. Rachel, Marcus spoke into his radio. Lock the doors. Stay away from windows. Don't turn on any lights. Inside, Rachel did as instructed. Heart pounding so loud it hurt. Ethan stirred. Mommy, what's happening? Shh, baby, it's okay. Just stay quiet for me. Is it Daddy? The question hit her like a punch. I don't know, baby, but we're going to be okay. I promise. She pulled him closer, prayed she wasn't lying. Outside, Marcus moved through the trees. Silent, careful, every sense on high alert. He'd done this before, combat situations, dangerous extractions, but this felt different, personal. This wasn't a mission. This was family. A branch snapped to his left. Marcus spun, flashlight up, weapon ready. Nothing. Then he heard it. Footsteps, running, away from him. Contact moving east. He sprinted after the sound, branches whipping his face, lungs burning. The footsteps stopped. Marcus stopped, listened. Silence. Then a voice. Behind him. Looking for me. Marcus turned. Derek Collins stood 10 feet away. Rifle raised, pointed directly at Marcus's chest. Drop the weapon. Hands up, now. Marcus didn't move. You're not going to shoot me, Derek. Too many witnesses. Too much evidence. You think I care about evidence anymore? Derek's laugh was unhinged. That judge took everything from me. My son, my reputation, my life. The rifle didn't waver. I've got nothing left to lose. You've got your freedom. Walk away now, you might keep it. Walk away. Derek's voice rose. She turned my son against me, made him afraid of his own father, poisoned him with lies. The only poison in that boy's life is you. Derek's finger tightened on the trigger. Where is she? Where's my son? Somewhere you'll never find them. Tell me! The scream echoed through the trees. Marcus stood his ground. You want to shoot me, go ahead. But you'll never get to Ethan. My people will make sure of that. Your people, Derek spat. A bunch of criminals playing hero. You think you're better than me. I know I am. Something flickered in Derek's eyes. Doubt. Fear. The realization that he'd lost control. I just want my son. That's all. Just let me see my son and I'll go. I'll disappear. You'll never hear from me again. That's not going to happen. Why do you care? He's not your kid. She's not your family. Why are you risking your life for strangers? Marcus thought about the question. The answer was simple. Because someone should. Derek stared at him, the rifle trembling slightly. You don't understand. You can't understand. Ethan is all I have. The only person who ever loved me without conditions. Without judgment. His voice cracked. And she took him from me. No, you took yourself from him. Every time you hit Rachel, every time you made him watch, every time you chose control over love. Marcus stepped forward. That little boy is terrified of you, Derek. Not because of anything Rachel said, because of what he saw, what he lived. Derek's mask crumbled, tears streaming down his face. I never meant to hurt him. I never meant to hurt anyone. I just wanted... You wanted control. That's all you ever wanted. Marcus's voice hardened. But you can't control people. You can't control love. And you can't control what happens next. The rifle lowered slightly, Derek's shoulders sagging. What happens next? That's up to you. You can put down the gun, turn yourself in, get help. Marcus extended his hand. Or you can keep going down this path and lose everything, including your life. Derek looked at the hand, at Marcus, at the rifle in his own hands. For a moment, something human flickered in his eyes. Then it died. I'd rather die than let her win. He raised the rifle. Marcus dove. The shot split the night. Rachel screamed when she heard the gunshot. Marcus! She ran for the door. Mountain caught her air. Stay inside. We don't know what's happening. He's out there. Derek has a gun. We have to. Another shot. Then silence. Rachel collapsed against Mountain, sobbing. Please, please, please. Mountain held his radio, waiting. Every second an eternity. Then Marcus's voice crackled through. Target down. Everybody okay? Rachel's legs gave out. Mountain caught her. He's okay, Mountain said. Marcus is okay. And Derek, pause, wounded alive. Ghost is calling for medical. Rachel didn't know what to feel. Relief, horror, something in between. The monster was down, but he wasn't dead. Was that better or worse? 20 minutes later, the clearing was full of flashing lights. Police, ambulance. Detective Sanchez arriving with a team. Derek was loaded onto a stretcher. Gunshot wound to the shoulder. Non-fatal. He'd lived to face trial. Marcus sat on the cabin porch. Paramedic checking a graze wound on his arm. Rachel approached slowly. You're hurt. Just a scratch. Marcus tried to smile. Failed. Bullet went wide. He wasn't a good shot. You could have died, but I didn't. Rachel sat beside him, watched the ambulance pull away with Derek inside. Is it over? Really over this time? The immediate danger, yeah. Marcus winced as the paramedic cleaned his wound. The legal stuff will take time. Trial. Sentencing. But he's going away, Rachel, for a long time. And if he gets out, then we'll be there, same as now. Marcus met her eyes. That's not going to change, no matter what happens. Rachel leaned against him, exhausted, empty, but somehow lighter than she'd felt in years. I don't know who I am without the fear, she whispered. It's been so long. You'll figure it out, day by day. Marcus put his good arm around her. That's how healing works, one day at a time. Ethan appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Mommy, what's all the noise? Rachel opened her arms. He ran to her. It's okay, baby. Everything's okay now. Did the bad stuff stop? She held him tight, felt his small heart beating against her chest. Yeah, baby, the bad stuff stopped. Ethan looked at Marcus, at his bandaged arm. Did you fight the monster? Marcus smiled, a real one this time. Something like that. Did you win? Marcus looked at Rachel, at Ethan, at the life they still had ahead of them. Yeah, buddy, we won, Ethan grinned. First real grin in months. I knew it. Heroes always win. And sitting there in the dawn light surrounded by people who had shown up when it mattered most, Rachel finally let herself believe it. The monster was gone. The nightmare was over. And for the first time in 5 years, she could breathe. Part 5 lưu ý Việt 4 miền đến 800 từ liên kết liên mạch với các phần trước trong câu chuyện pha hội thoại tạo thành một câu chuyện liền mạch khi ghép lại. Mỗi phần liền mạch với phần trước không giới thiệu lại cái câu chuyện ở đầu phần mới, liên kết các phần của câu chuyện một cách liền mạch, sử dụng câu chuyện tiếp giữa các phần, duy trì chủ đề, tránh ngắt quãng đột ngột không sử dụng gạch đầu dòng, hoặc tiêu đề phụ phong cách kể chuyện Mỹ Hoa Kỳ giống danh giàu cảm xúc chân thực và gần gũi, không mô tả cảnh tập trung vào hành động cảm xúc và tâm lý nhân vật. Viết phần 5 đạt điểm 10 và bổ sung tiết tấu câu chuyện nhanh sửa lời AI. Kể theo ngôi thứ 3 giữ đồ kịch tính không biết lan man. Kết thúc dùng câu khẳng định mạnh để khép lại câu chuyện rõ ràng, trọn vẹn. Lưu ý trả lời trong một tin nhắn không nhảy sang mực document mời. 2-3 phút cần có mini climax và đạt 10 từ 15 mini climax mỗi. Phần cứ 10-12 phút có một twist lớn, sâu sắc đan xen mini cliffhanger mạnh hơn, tăng tính tự nhiên cho phản ứng của các nhân vật, thêm nhịp điệu, kịch tính thực tế và gần gũi. 18-10 phút cần có móc giữ chân khán giả. Lưu ý không mô tả cánh và chỉ cần viết nội dung và viết đúng lệnh nhé. Show more 0940 Part 5. The Ripple Effect 6 months later. Rachel barely recognized her own life. New apartment, Mesa, east side of Phoenix. Tree-lined street where kids rode bikes after school and neighbors actually waved hello. 2 bedrooms, small kitchen, nothing fancy. But the locks were solid. The windows let in morning light. And when someone knocked on the door, Rachel didn't freeze anymore. Most days, she stood at the kitchen counter making pancakes. Dinosaur-shaped. Ethan's favorite. The smell of butter and batter filled the air. Mom, they're burning, Rachel laughed, flipped the pancake just in time. They're not burning, they're extra crispy. Ethan made a face. That's what you always say. Because it's always true. He giggled, actually giggled, a sound Rachel had almost forgotten existed. 8 years old now, birthday last month. Party at the clubhouse, bouncy castle, face painting, 40 bikers singing happy birthday while Ethan blew out candles shaped like motorcycles. He'd asked for that specifically. Rachel slid the pancakes onto his plate, watched him pour syrup in careful circles. His therapist said he was making excellent progress. Fewer nightmares, less flinching at loud noises, starting to trust again. Kids were resilient, more resilient than adults sometimes. Mom, yeah, baby, is Mr. Marcus coming today? Rachel smiled. After work, he said he'd help you with your bike. Ethan's face lit up. The one with the flames. The one with the flames. Marcus had painted it himself. Red and orange flames on a black frame. Training wheels still on, but not for long. Ethan was determined to ride without them by summer. Goals. He had goals now, plans, a future he could imagine. That was new, for both of them. Rachel's phone buzzed, text from Hawk. Court date confirmed, final sentencing hearing, next Tuesday. Her stomach tightened, even now, even after everything Derek's name could do that to her. The trial had lasted 3 weeks, national news coverage, the church deacon, the youth basketball coach, the monster behind the mask. 3 women testified, 4 including Rachel, medical records, financial evidence. The recording of Derek screaming at Ethan in the parking lot played for the jury. Guilty on all counts. Domestic assault, stalking, witness intimidation, attempted kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon. The sentencing hearing would determine how long he'd be gone. Prosecutor was asking for 15 years. Rachel hoped for more. Tuesday arrived too fast. Rachel dressed carefully, professional, put together, the woman Derek had tried to destroy standing tall. Hawk drove her to the courthouse. Marcus met them outside. You don't have to do this, he said. Victim impact statement is optional. I know. Rachel squared her shoulders. But I want to. I need to. They walked in together. The courtroom was packed. Media in the back, club members filling the gallery. Jennifer, Amy, and Keisha in the front row. Their presence a reminder that Rachel wasn't the only one Derek had hurt. She wasn't the only one who'd survived. Derek was already seated, orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed. The expensive suits and perfect hair were gone. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. When Rachel entered, his eyes found her immediately. She didn't look away, not anymore. Judge Morrison called the proceedings to order, reviewed the charges, the verdicts, asked if the victims wished to make statements. Jennifer went first, voice steady, told the court about 4 years of fear, moving 3 times, changing her name, never feeling safe. I lost my 20s to this man, she said. Years I'll never get back, but I'm done letting him take anything else. Amy went next, then Keisha. Each story different in details, but identical in pattern. The charm, the isolation, the violence, the threats. Then it was Rachel's turn. She stood, walked to the podium, felt 50 pairs of eyes on her. Derek's most of all. She unfolded her paper, the statement she'd written and rewritten a dozen times. Then she set it aside. I had a speech prepared, she said, pages of things I wanted to say. How scared I was, how alone, how the system failed me again and again. She looked at Derek. But you know all that. You counted on it. You used it. Every time I tried to leave, every time I asked for help, you were there with your lawyers, your connections, your perfect reputation. Her voice strengthened. You told me no one would believe me, that I was nothing, that I was crazy. Rachel paused. And for a long time, I believed you. That's what the abuse does. It makes you doubt yourself, your own memories, your own worth. She turned to the gallery, to Marcus, to the club members who'd shown up for her when no one else would. But you were wrong. People believed me. Strangers believed me. A man I'd been taught to fear my whole life believed me enough to call 40 other people and show up at my appointment because I asked. Back to Derek. You wanted to break me. You almost did. But here's what you didn't count on. Rachel's voice rose. I found people who saw me, really saw me, not the victim you created, the woman I actually am. Strong enough to ask for help, brave enough to tell the truth, determined enough to make sure you never do this to anyone else. Derek's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. My son used to draw pictures of our family with you scribbled out in black crayon. He used to scream when he heard your car. He used to ask me if you were going to hurt me again. Rachel felt tears but didn't wipe them. Let them fall. Now he draws motorcycles. He laughs at breakfast. He sleeps through the night. She leaned forward. That's what freedom looks like. That's what you tried to steal from us. And that's what you failed to take. Rachel picked up her statement, folded it carefully. I'm not asking for any particular sentence, Your Honor. I'm just asking that when you decide you remember something. Derek Collins isn't an anomaly. He's a pattern. And patterns don't stop on their own. They have to be stopped. She returned to her seat. Hawk squeezed her hand. Marcus nodded. In the gallery, Jennifer and Amy and Keisha were crying. Rachel sat down and waited. Judge Morrison spent 30 minutes reviewing the case. The severity of the crimes, the pattern of behavior, the lack of remorse. Derek's lawyer made a plea for leniency. Good family, first offense on record, promising career destroyed. The judge listened, then spoke. Mr. Collins, in 30 years on this bench, I've seen many criminals, some motivated by desperation, some by circumstance, some by genuine mental illness. She paused. You are none of those things. You are a predator who chose your victims carefully, who used your position and privilege to escape accountability, who manipulated systems designed to protect people and turn them into weapons. Derek's face was stone. 4 women came forward in this case. I suspect there are more who didn't, more who were too afraid, too broken, too convinced that no one would believe them. Judge Morrison's voice hardened. That stops today. She opened a folder. On the count of domestic assault in the first degree, I sentence you to 8 years. On the count of stalking, 5 years. On the count of witness intimidation, 3 years. On the count of attempted kidnapping, 10 years. On the count of assault with a deadly weapon, 7 years. Rachel held her breath. These sentences will run consecutively, not concurrently. Total sentence 33 years in state prison. No possibility of parole for 20 years. The courtroom erupted. Derek shot to his feet. This is insane. You can't do this. I just did. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. Remove the defendant. Guards grabbed Derek's arms. He struggled, screamed. Rachel, this isn't over. You hear me? This will never be over. They dragged him toward the door. I'll find you when I get out. I'll find you. The doors closed behind him. His screams faded, gone. Rachel sat frozen, unable to process. 33 years. Ethan would be 41 before Derek could even apply for parole. A lifetime. Hawk hugged her. You did it. It's over. Is it? Rachel's voice was distant. You heard what he said. In 20 years, he'll be a 70-year-old man with nothing. No money, no connections, no power. Hawk pulled back, looked her in the eyes. And you'll have built an entire life. That's the best revenge, Rachel. Living well. Marcus appeared beside them, ready to go. Rachel nodded. Let them guide her out. The media was waiting. Cameras, microphones, questions shouted over each other. Ms. Turner, how do you feel about the sentence? Ms. Turner, what message do you have for other victims? Ms. Turner, what's next for you? Rachel stopped, turned to face them. The questions died down. 6 months ago, I slipped a note to a stranger at a gas station. I was terrified, desperate, convinced no one would help. She looked at Marcus, at the club members gathered behind her. I was wrong. She faced the cameras. To anyone watching who's going through what I went through, you're not alone. Help exists. People who will believe you exist. But you have to ask. You have to take that first step, even when it feels impossible. Rachel's voice strengthened. I'm not special. I'm not brave. I was just desperate enough to try something different, and it saved my life. She paused. Let it save yours, too. She turned, walked away, didn't look back. The story was over. A new chapter was beginning. 2 weeks later, Marcus brought an idea to the club meeting. We've been doing this informally for years, showing up when people need help. But what if we made it official? He held up a small card. Simple design. Phone number. Simple message. If you or someone you know needs help, we listen. We act. We protect. Steele took the card, examined it. What are you thinking? A dedicated line. Someone always answers, day or night. We leave these cards everywhere. Gas stations, laundromats, bathrooms, libraries. Anywhere someone might be alone long enough to grab one without being seen. Mountain leaned forward, like what Rachel did. Exactly like what Rachel did. Marcus looked around the table. That note changed at everything. What if we made it easier for the next person and the person after that? Hawk nodded slowly. We'd need a system, screening calls, assessing danger levels, coordinating responses. We'd figure it out, we always do. Ghost was already typing. I can set up a secure line, untraceable, routes through multiple servers. Steele was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was thick. 20 years ago, my sister needed something like this. A number to call. People who would show up. He looked at the card. She didn't have it, and she didn't make it. He set the card down. I'm in, whatever it takes. Every hand went up. Unanimous. They called it the Note Project. Rachel designed the cards herself. Simple, clean. The kind of thing that could be palmed discreetly. Hidden in a pocket. Kept just in case. They started small. A few hundred cards spread across Phoenix, gas stations, diners, hospital bathrooms, anywhere vulnerable people might find themselves alone. The first call came 3 days later. Woman named Sandra. Husband had been hitting her for 12 years. Found the card in a grocery store bathroom. Didn't know if anyone would answer. Someone did. 24 hours later, Sandra and her 2 kids were in a shelter. Club members helped her move out while her husband was at work. Loaded everything she owned into a truck and drove away before he knew she was gone. She sent a thank you letter the following week. I didn't think anyone would come. I didn't think anyone cared. You proved me wrong. More calls came, slowly at first, then faster. Women in danger, men too sometimes. People who had nowhere else to turn. Some needed rides to shelters. Some needed witnesses during confrontations. Some needed help moving out. Some just needed someone to believe them. The club answered every call, every single one. 6 months and the numbers told a story. 52 calls received, 34 interventions, 21 people safely relocated, 8 court cases supported, 4 perpetrators arrested directly because of their documentation. Ghost tracked it all, built a database, patterns, hotspots, ways to improve. Hawk offered pro bono legal support to anyone who called. Her firm took on domestic violence cases at sliding scale rates. Other attorneys joined. A network forming around a simple idea. Show up, believe people, help. The thank you letters became a binder. Then 2 binders. Then a shelf. Photos of survivors in new apartments. Kids smiling in new schools. Women starting businesses. Men rebuilding lives. Marcus read them sometimes. Late at night when the weight of the world felt too heavy. Reminded himself why they did this. 1 note at a time. 1 life at a time. Rachel's life looked different now. She worked at Hawk's firm, office manager, good hours, good pay, enough to rent a real apartment, save a little each month, build something. Ethan was thriving, 3rd grade, straight A's, 2 best friends who came over for sleepovers, a teacher who said he was one of the kindest kids in class. He still went to therapy, once a week now instead of twice, processing, healing, learning that not all men were like his father. His drawings had changed too. No more families with the father scribbled out. Now he drew motorcycles, dozens of them, detailed engines, flames on the side, riders with leather vests and kind eyes. Heroes, he called them. His heroes. Saturday morning. 1 year since the gas station. Rachel woke to sunlight streaming through the windows. No alarm, no schedule, just quiet. She made coffee, sat on the porch, watched the neighborhood come alive. Kids playing, dogs barking, normal things, beautiful things. A year ago, she couldn't imagine this, couldn't imagine peace, couldn't imagine waking up without fear as her first emotion. Now fear was a distant memory, something that had happened to a different woman. She was still Rachel Turner, still carried scars, still flinched sometimes at loud noises, still had nightmares occasionally, but she was also something new. Survivor, advocate, proof that monsters could be beaten. Her phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Club barbecue today? Family day. You and Ethan coming? She smiled. Typed back. Wouldn't miss it. The clubhouse looked different with streamers everywhere. Banner across the entrance. Family day. Bouncy castle in the parking lot. Mountain manning the grill. Kids running everywhere. The same warehouse that had hosted planning sessions and emergency meetings now echoed with laughter. Rachel arrived with Ethan. He immediately took off running. Found the other kids. Started playing like he'd known them forever. Because in a way he had. This was his family now. Not by blood, by choice, by showing up. Hawk found Rachel near the drinks table. You look good. I feel good. Rachel poured lemonade. Weird saying that, but true. Not weird, earned. Hawk clinked her cup against Rachel's. 1 year. Hell of a journey. Hell of a year. They watched the party together. Steele teaching kids to throw horseshoes. Ghost doing magic tricks with cards. Patch patching up scraped knees with dramatic flair. There are some people I want you to meet, Hawk said. She led Rachel to a picnic table. 3 women sat there. Different ages, different backgrounds, but something in their eyes was instantly familiar. Rachel, this is Maria, Destiny, and Kira. They found us through the Note Project. Maria 3 months ago, Destiny in April, Kira last week. Rachel sat down, looked at each of them. How are you doing? Maria spoke first. Mid-40s, strong voice despite the tremor in her hands. Better, every day a little better. She paused. I wanted to thank you. I read about your case, saw the interview you did. It's what gave me courage to call that number. Destiny nodded, younger, early 20s. Same, I thought I was the only one going through it. Thought no one would believe me. She gestured at the party around them. Then I found out there were 41 people who would show up for a stranger. Changed everything. Kira didn't speak, just reached across the table, took Rachel's hand, squeezed. No words needed. Rachel felt tears threatening. Let them come. I was so alone, she said. For so long, I thought that's just how life was. How it would always be. It's not, Maria's voice was firm. Because of what you did, it's not. They talked for an hour, shared stories, exchanged numbers, made plans to meet for coffee, check in on each other, a support group forming in real time. Sisterhood. Marcus found Rachel as the sun was setting. Ethan passed out in the bouncy castle. Mountain carried him to my truck. He's sleeping in the back seat. Rachel laughed. He'll talk about this party for weeks. Good. Kid deserves good memories. They stood together, watched the last light fade. 1 year, Marcus said. How does it feel? Rachel considered the question. Like waking up. Like I was asleep for a decade and finally opened my eyes. She looked at him. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. I keep waiting for something bad to happen. For the other shoe to drop, some old habit I can't shake. Give it time. Trust takes longer to rebuild than anything else. Speaking from experience. Speaking from experience. They were quiet for a moment. Marcus, yeah. Thank you for reading the note, for not throwing it away, for showing up. He smiled, the kind that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Thank yourself. You wrote the note. You took the chance. He put a hand on her shoulder. I just answered the call. You made the call possible. Rachel leaned into him slightly. 2 people who'd found each other in the chaos and built something neither expected. Not romance? Not yet. Maybe not ever. But family. Absolutely. Route 17 gas station. 1 year to the day. Rachel pulled in. Pump 4, same spot where everything changed. She didn't need Gap, just needed to be here. The pump where she'd scribbled a desperate note. The spot where a stranger had read it and decided to help. She got out, stood there, let the memories wash over her. The fear, the desperation, the split-second decision that saved her life. A Harley rumbled in beside her. Different rider this time? Woman, late 30s, leather vest, hellsangels patches. Rosa, one of the club members Rachel had gotten to know over the past year. Thought I might find you here. Rachel smiled. Seemed right. They stood together, watching traffic flow past. You know we've expanded the project, Rosa said. 3 other cities now, chapters in Vegas, LA, and Denver, running their own versions. I heard, Marcus told me. 52 people helped in Phoenix alone last year, probably double that in the other cities. Rosa shook her head. All because of one note on a gas receipt. It wasn't just the note, it was everyone who showed up. Yeah, but someone had to start it. Someone had to be brave enough to ask. Rosa looked at her. That was you. A car pulled up to the pump across from them. Woman driving, young, early 20s. Something in her movements caught Rachel's attention. The checking mirrors, the nervous glances, the way she hunched her shoulders like she was trying to disappear. Rachel had looked exactly like that once. She watched as the woman pumped gas, noticed the bruise peeking out from under her sleeve, noticed the way she flinched when her phone buzzed. Rosa noticed too. You see it? I see it. Rachel reached into her purse, pulled out a card, the note project, phone number. Simple message. She walked over, casual, unthreatening. Excuse me. The woman looked up, startled, ready to run. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to ask questions. I just want to give you something. Rachel held out the card. In case you ever need it. In case you ever need someone to believe you. The woman stared at the card, at Rachel, at the motorcycle rider watching from a distance. Who are you? Someone who's been where you are. Someone who asked for help and got it. Rachel pressed the card into her hand. You're not alone, even if it feels like it, even if everyone's telling you otherwise. The woman's eyes filled with tears. He'll kill me if I leave. That's what mine said too, but I'm still here, because I found people who showed up. Rachel gestured at Rosa. They show up for strangers. All you have to do is ask. The woman clutched the card like a lifeline. I don't know if I can. You can when you're ready, and that number will be there when you are. Rachel squeezed her shoulder gently, then walked back to her car. The woman stood there for a long moment, looking at the card. Then she slipped it into her pocket, got in her car, drove away. Rachel watched her go. Think she'll call? Rosa asked. I don't know, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. Rachel climbed into her car. But she knows she's not alone now. That's the first step. She started the engine. In the rearview mirror, she could still see the gas pump, the spot where her life had shattered and rebuilt itself in a single afternoon. 1 year ago, she'd been a victim. Now she was something else entirely. Ethan was awake when she got home. Mom, where were you, Bapam? Just visiting somewhere important. She knelt down, hugged him tight. How was your nap? Good, I dreamed about motorcycles. Of course you did. He pulled back, looked at her with those big blue eyes. Mom, yeah, baby, are we happy now? Rachel felt her heart crack open, in the best possible way. Yeah, baby, I think we are. Good, Ethan grinned. Heda. I like being happy. She hugged him again, held on tight. Over his shoulder, she could see the refrigerator, covered in drawings, motorcycles, and dinosaurs and families. Families with mothers and sons and heroes in leather vests. No father scribbled out in black. Just light, just color, just hope. Rachel Turner had slipped a note to a stranger at a gas station. That stranger had called his entire club. And together they had proven something that victims everywhere needed to hear. You are not alone. Help exists. Monsters can be beaten. And sometimes the most unlikely heroes are the ones society tells you to fear. Sometimes salvation comes on 2 wheels and wears leather. Sometimes family isn't who you're born to, but who shows up when you need them most. And sometimes one act of desperate courage changes everything. Not just for one woman, not just for one child, but for everyone brave enough to ask for help. One note at a time, one life at a time, one choice at a time. That's how the world gets better. That's how monsters lose. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. Rachel had proof. She was living it. And somewhere out there, a woman was clutching a card in her pocket, deciding whether to call. hoping someone would answer. Someone always would, because that's what heroes do. They show up.